Hello everyone and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I wanted to talk about 9 things I wish I knew before purchasing a house, because as you know, my wife and I bought a new house, brand new build. There's a couple of things I wish we knew before going in the process. The first one is the house comes with no flooring, and we expected there to be no flooring, but we were hoping they would have flooring in the bathrooms and kitchen because they're wet rooms. This wasn't the case, which is really annoying. We have to buy our own flooring now. Well, we bought our own flooring. Most of it's gone in. We're just waiting for the ensuite flooring to be installed. We've also got flooring for other rooms to be covered as well. That's number one. Number two, it'd be hard for other companies to find your property. So delivery companies probably won't be able to find your company if it's built on a new road. Sometimes you get failed deliveries and you have to give them more information. We had one issue with Yodel, who they were delivering a Gusto box of food, which has to be delivered on the day, and they couldn't deliver it because they didn't know where we were. They asked for more details on the website. We tried to give them more details. We contacted the customer services and they basically said, oh yeah, if we give the driver these details, it's going to take another day for them to deliver. They'll deliver it on the next day. And we're kind of like, well, hold on a minute. This is food. They're perishable goods. They need to be delivered on the same day. Like, this just isn't good enough. And they basically said, well, we could let them deliver it, and if they fail, we can try again tomorrow and we'll give them the details. It was a bit odd. We were basically like, well, we need this today, otherwise it's just gonna be destroyed. And it was. To our surprise, it was destroyed. And thankfully, Gusto were really helpful. They gave us a refund and a couple of quid just to say sorry for an extra, which was really nice of them. You kind of need to be careful with deliveries and if you have someone nearby who's at an older address, maybe ask if you can use their address for a month or so just until things improve. Luckily, we had my mother-in-law. She's literally just down the road, so we managed to use her address, and that was really handy. We also tried using What 3 Words. Not sure if any of the delivery companies actually used it. It's gotten better now. Every so often, we'll have 1 or 2 deliveries that they still can't find, but yeah, it's improved a lot more. So that's another thing to be aware of, is if it's a new build and a new road, it'll be hard for them to find it because it won't be on Apple Maps or Google Maps or anything like that. Next one, number 3, is there will be snags. You cannot get away from having snags on a new build. In a perfect world, you'd come in and it'll be shiny and no scratches, no marks anywhere, and it'd be perfect. But unfortunately, in the real world, it just doesn't happen. They bring in different contractors, and certain contractors have one standard and then another set of contractors will have another standard. So for instance, we had a sink, and the upstairs sinks, because we obviously no flooring, so the upstairs sinks, they had the footstool, and they took into consideration the fact that we need to have flooring in. So they made enough space for flooring to be installed and have the footstool put back in. The downstairs toilet must have been done by a different contractor because they didn't take that into consideration, and it was actually a lot harder. The person who put our flooring in really had to force it back under the sink, which was not ideal. Something that just happens, unfortunately, because contractors, snagging is always going to be a thing, but it's how the company you're purchasing the house from deals with those snags and how quickly they deal with them as well. That really counts. Don't feel deflated if you feel like there's a lot of snags. Usually, I think average is like 3 pages worth of snags. It's good to get a snagging surveyor in to come and check the house, write down a list of everything that's wrong, because they will go over things that you just wouldn't think about at all. They're really handy to have. If you know like a friend of a friend who does snags, then you might be able to get a better deal, which we were lucky we managed to do that. And we paid a lot less than what you would pay under market rates at current. Number 4, it's possible there will be building work still being carried out whilst you're living in your new house. And this is something I didn't realize. I kind of thought they would just have everything done in one go and then start moving people in, like trickle them in. But that wasn't the case. They brought us in. They were still doing building work over the opposite side of the road to us, which made it a pain to get in and out of our drive. Luckily, that's kind of gotten better. And also, if you have deliveries coming, they might drive up and see that it's still a building site and think, does anyone live here? So they will just go back and they'll be like, well, we couldn't get in there. Looks like it's still being built. And it's like, no, we do live here. There are houses with people in. But yeah, it's just one of those unfortunate things. And another thing to be aware of. 5, it may be a bigger living space, but you will have trouble being organized because you have a lack of storage solutions. For us, we came in from a 1-bedroom flat. We were excited because bigger space. We're going to be able to put everything in these new locations and it's going to be great. And then we moved in with all our stuff and it's like, great, where do we put this stuff? We've got no storage. Where's all this storage? And it's like, well, you need to buy that storage. Yeah, like shelving units, shelves, cupboards, wardrobes, also any hanging areas and stuff does make a difference. So you need to kind of remember that you have to purchase these things first before you're able to be more organized. Number 6, you could have problems that no other building has. For our neighbors, they had water where they'd flush the toilet, water would go down the toilet, and then it would start gurgling up in the sink right next to that toilet. And they messaged us and they were like, have you got this problem? And we didn't, which was very strange, but it was just a blockage along their pipeline that needed to be unblocked. We didn't have that issue, they did. There's probably other issues other houses have had that we haven't had. It's always good to ask your neighbors, especially if you're on talking terms with them. Always talk to the property manager about your issues and try to get it resolved as quickly as possible, because otherwise the problem would just get worse and you don't want it to get worse. 7 is once the sales team have made their sale, taken your money, they won't talk to you anymore. And that's been pretty much the case for us, our next door neighbours and other people in the area. They've just taken our money and left, even though they've told us there are updates from us to make sure that we're happy with our purchase. They came once within the first week and then buggered off, never to return. It's another thing to be aware of. Other sales teams might be better, but that wasn't the case with us. They just took our money and never said a word to us again. Number 8 is the floor will not be level, and this is more likely to be the ground floor than the first or second floor if you have more floors. The ground floor is likely to not be level, which is a shame because while you don't expect it to be 100% level throughout, you try to have some expectation that it will be as level as possible, but they don't, and they kind of expect you to bring in that acrylic stuff that you spread around your floors to make everything level. They don't do that for you. You have to do it yourself. So if you want everything to be level, if you're worried about it, then you need to spend money to do that. Well, for us, we didn't. We just got some EvoCore flooring, and that has built-in underlay, which has been really handy. But once we put that in, there are some bits where it's not quite right because of the uneven floors. That's definitely something you should keep in mind when purchasing a house. I mean, all these things are something to keep in mind. Number 9 is you might be able to get extras if you ask nicely. My wife spoke to a colleague at work, and basically we wanted more slabs in the back garden so we could actually have furniture at the top of our garden. And there's really only 2 sets of slabs, which is enough to walk on but not really have any furniture on. We wanted to have an extra 2 slabs, or 2 rows of slabs, not just 2 slabs because that'd be ridiculous, but 2 rows of slabs to be able to enjoy our back garden and buy some furniture and sit out in the back garden. We spoke to our groundsman, or we spoke to our manager who then spoke to the groundsman, and we said we'll pay for the slabs and we'll pay for his time. And luckily he said you won't need to pay for the slabs because they're on the business expenses. They're a part of the company's resources. So he's just going to be using them, which is probably a bit cheeky, but hey ho, it's free for us. And then we just have to pay for his time, which is fantastic. They are my 9 things I wish I knew before purchasing a new build. And number 10 is a bonus. Basically, they have now stopped the Help to Buy scheme, which is a shame because it was very helpful for us. We managed to use it. It was one of the reasons why we bought this house so soon, because I basically was wanting to push more and more to get a house so we can use the Help to Buy system to our scheme to our advantage. We literally managed to cut it in quite tightly. But you've now got the shared ownership scheme, which I personally think it's a terrible scheme. It shouldn't happen at all. But basically you buy a percentage of your house, so it could be 5 or 10% or 50 or 75 to 85. I think some have a max. Some places you can own 100% of the house, other places you can it's a max of like 85%. So say you owned 10% of your house, you pay the mortgage for that 10%, but then the rest of the house that you don't own, so 90%, you then have to pay rent. So you're now having 2 outgoings for your house, which is a terrible, terrible scheme. So I would suggest not to use this at all and take a look at the LISA accounts, because they can be used for your advantage. For all the money you put in, you get 25% bonus from the government. The max you can put in is £4,000 every tax year, and basically 25% of 4,000 is 1,000. So every tax year you get £1,000 back from the government. You can only have one account, but if you have a partner, they can also have an account, and then you can basically try and max out both of the LISA accounts within the year, because then that's £2,000 extra a year you could be getting from the government. And say you saved up for 5 years and every year you manage to max it out, that's an extra £10,000 you could get from the government to help pay for a new build. It is for first-time buyers, but it can also be used for any home. It doesn't have to be a brand new home. It can be an older home. It's just for first-time buyers, which is a fantastic, fantastic way to save up and use that to your advantage. There's also 2 types of LISA accounts. There's the cash ISA, which is basically you just put money in and you might get a percentage on top of that, depending on which company you take out your LISA with. Or there's the investment ISA, where basically you're putting money in and it's being invested into different companies, and then those investments obviously go up and down. If you are using it for a short term, cash ISA is definitely the way to go. If you're trying to do it through like 5+ years, then an investment ISA will probably be the best way to go, because you can get more potential returns on top of your money. Basically, if you max it out, you could get the government bonus and then plus whatever profits you make from the investments of those companies. Those are the things I think everyone should know before purchasing their new build. Number 10 is if you're just a first-time buyer looking to buy any house, because the markets are terrible at the minute and it's scary times right now. If you're looking to buy a house, I wish you the best of luck in that purchase process. If you have any questions or anything, please leave them down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, and I will speak to you guys in the next one.